Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Landman is doing the Kayce and Monica story Yellowstone never showed. Taylor Sheridan has seemingly learned from his mistakes concerning Kayce and Monica's love story in Yellowstone, as evidenced by the development of one couple in his new show, Landman. Sheridan continues his TV dominance with the Paramount Plus drama series, which follows Billy Bob Thornton's Tommy. Thornton's character is a landman at an oil company who handles problems with local landowners, oil patch crews, and sometimes the cartel. As such, Tommy faces a lot of danger. He often gets into himself sticky situations, just like the Dutton family did in Yellowstone. Unfortunately, Yellowstone has seemingly come to an end after Season 5, Part 2. Some reports claim that a sixth season is possible, but with Beth and Rip's spin-off and several other shows, like Landman, on Sheridan's plate, he might be too busy to continue Yellowstone. Based on the positive response to Landman, it's probably for the best that Sheridan focuses on his newer projects. Fans can move on from rooting for Kayce and Monica in Yellowstone to cheering for another couple in the Paramount Plus drama. The first half of Landman Season 1 has been slowly but surely building Cooper and Ariana's romance. It's rather complicated, seeing as she had a husband who recently died. Plus, Cooper was beaten up at the end of Landman Episode 5 because of his connection to Ariana and his inability to stay away from her. While all these factors are concerning, Cooper and Ariana's story is somewhat reminiscent of Kayce and Monica's romance in Yellowstone. However, unlike Cooper and Ariana, the 2018 neo-Western drama series never showed Kayce and Monica's backstory. Monica's family likely held the same grudges against Kayce when they first started dating that Ariana's deceased husband's family does in Landman. Cooper is even attacked by them because of his burgeoning relationship with Ariana. It's quite possible that Kayce had to go through the same thing in Yellowstone. Season 1 of Taylor Sheridan's first TV show implied that Monica's brother, Robert, could barely tolerate Kayce, before Robert killed Kayce's brother, Lee, which resulted in Kayce killing Robert. Yellowstone never fully told that story though, and now Landman gets to. If Landman fans are hoping for a happy ending for Cooper and Ariana like the one Kayce and Monica got in Yellowstone, they might be disappointed. Only 6 episodes have aired, but Cooper and Ariana's relationship surely isn't being built on steady ground. Ariana is still mourning her late husband while forming a close bond with Cooper. Consequently, their story might end in heartbreak. At the very least, Cooper and Ariana won't have an easy journey as Landman continues. In a world full of powerful dynamics and emotional turmoil, Yellowstone often highlights the ups and downs of Kayce and Monica Dutton's relationship, showing their love amid the harsh realities of the ranch life. But there's a story beneath the surface, a thread left unspooled that could tell us more about Kayce's past, the struggles of his present, and how a character like Landman could have been the one to reveal the story the show never showed. Landman is doing the Kayce and Monica story Yellowstone never showed. When Landman came into Kayce Dutton's life, it was not with the aim of friendship or even camaraderie. Landman was a man of few words, more of an observer than a participant. He had a sharp mind and a deeper understanding of human nature than anyone on the ranch. He had a way of seeing beyond the layers people put up, their masks, their walls. To some he was simply a man who worked for the Dutton family, a distant figure who had seen things, done things, and wasn't afraid of the consequences. But beneath that hard, no-nonsense exterior, Landman understood the complexity of Kayce and Monica's relationship. He knew there was more to it than just two people trying to make it in a world of unforgiving ranching. It was a relationship built on love, yes, but also on trauma, secrets, and choices that couldn't be easily understood, especially by an outsider. Landman's role in the story began long before he ever made his way onto the Yellowstone ranch. He knew Kayce from his time in the military, not personally but from a distance. There were stories, rumors whispered between soldiers about a Dutton boy who had come home changed, scarred by what he had seen and done. Those stories were passed through the ranks and eventually found their way to Landman's ears. The way they spoke of Kayce was as if he were a ghost, not quite dead, but far from the man he once was. And that was where Landman's interest in the Dutton family began. He knew that Kayce's return to the ranch was more than just a homecoming, it was a reckoning. For Kayce, for his family, and for the land that had always been in his blood. But there were also fractures in the relationship with Monica, fractures that Landman believed went deeper than either of them realized. Landman watched from the sidelines, observing the slow unraveling of Kayce and Monica's marriage. He knew it wasn't just the ranch life that was tearing them apart. It was the years Kayce had spent away, fighting wars that left scars on his soul that were invisible to the naked eye. Monica, too, had her own demons, a past that wasn't always easy to accept, and a desire to keep her own identity independent of the chaos surrounding her. When the two of them met, it had been a collision of worlds. Kayce, a man broken by war, finding some semblance of peace on the ranch. Monica, a woman determined to forge a path of her own, despite being tethered to the Dutton legacy. Landman could see it clearly. Kayce's emotional distance was a defense mechanism, a way to keep people from getting too close, to keep from feeling the full weight of the trauma he carried. Monica, for all her strength, was fighting to remain grounded, torn between love for a man who didn't quite know how to love her back and her own aspirations for a life outside of his shadow. Landman had seen the way their story had played out in the shadows, the quiet moments when Monica would look at Kayce and he would look away. The times when Kayce's anger would flare up, directed at the world around him, and Monica would withdraw into herself, unsure of how to reach him. Landman didn't judge them. He knew that what they were experiencing wasn't unique. It was just a more complicated version of what many people went through in relationships. But in their case, the stakes were much higher: family, legacy, the very land they fought to preserve. One night, after an especially tense argument between the couple, Landman found himself on the porch of the ranch house, a bottle of whiskey in hand. He had been out on the property most of the day, working through the silence and the tension that hung in the air. But now, as he sat quietly in the moonlight, something stirred in him. He couldn't just stand by and watch them fall apart without offering some sort of guidance. Kayce, in particular, needed someone who could understand the war within him. It was then that Landman decided to do something that no one else could. He would become a mirror for Kayce. He would force him to face the reality of what he had lost, what he was still holding on to, and what he truly needed to heal. The first step was simple: talking. Kayce had always been a man of few words, but Landman knew how to make a conversation feel like a challenge. He invited Kayce for a drink on the porch, just the two of them. No distractions, no ranch work to interrupt the silence. At first, Kayce was reluctant. He wasn't much of a talker when it came to his emotions, but something in Landman's demeanor pushed him to stay, to listen. "I don't know if you know this," Landman began, his voice low, "but you're not the only one who's been at war." Kayce didn't respond immediately. He simply took a drink from his own bottle of whiskey, the words hanging in the air between them. "There's a war going on inside you, Kayce. A war you don't even know how to fight." Landman continued, "And I think it's time you figured out where your enemy really is." It wasn't much, but it was a beginning. Over the next few weeks, Landman kept showing up, at random times offering quiet words of wisdom, encouraging Kayce to reflect, not just on his past, but on his present and future with Monica. He didn't push too hard, but Landman knew that Kayce needed to be forced to confront the reality of his life. Not just the land, not just the family, but the woman who loved him and the child they were raising together. Through those quiet moments, Kayce began to understand what he had been missing all along. It wasn't just his relationship with the land or his family, it was his relationship with himself. Monica had always been there, a constant in his life, but he hadn't truly seen her until now. The weight of what he had done, of what he had endured, had clouded his vision. Landman's influence in their lives was subtle, like a river cutting through rock, slow, patient, persistent. It wasn't a quick fix, but it was the catalyst for change. Kayce and Monica's story, once marked by distance and misunderstanding, began to shift. Their bond, while still frail in some places, started to heal, not because they were perfect, but because they were finally ready to face the truth. And as for Landman, he never asked for any recognition. He simply watched, as the pieces of the story that Yellowstone never showed began to fall into place.